In quiet neighborhoods, power goes wrong.
The sound wasn't loud like the movies. It was sharp, sudden, final. I remember thinking, that can't be real. Then my daughter screamed. And in that single moment, as she collapsed onto the concrete of our so-called safe HOA community, I realized something terrifying. The woman standing 10 feet away with shaking hands and a gun thought she was enforcing rules. She had no idea she had just crossed a line that could never be uncrossed. And she had no idea who her father was. My daughter Ava was 13. She was born with nerve damage in her lower body that made walking painful and unpredictable. Some days she used braces. Some days crutches. On bad days, a wheelchair. But she never complained. She had learned early that the world didn't slow down for people like her, so she learned to keep moving anyway. We moved into the HOA community because it promised safety.
News. A historic
Clean
climate
streets.
accord has been reached.
No crime. Quiet neighbors. What they didn't advertise was the culture of control. Karen Whitlock was the HOA president. She liked titles. She liked authority. She liked reminding people she had both. From the first week we moved in, she watched us differently. The ramp. The medical parking permit. The way Ava sometimes needed help getting in and out of the car. Karen smiled, but her eyes always lingered too long, like she was counting violations. It started small. A notice on our door, unapproved mobility equipment visible from street. Then another, loitering in common areas. My daughter sitting on a bench, resting her legs, was considered loitering. I tried to stay calm. She's disabled, I told Karen at a board meeting. She's protected under federal law. Karen smiled politely. We respect disabilities, she said. But rules keep the community safe. That word again. Rules. It happened on a Saturday afternoon. Ava wanted to practice walking without her braces. She was proud of herself that day. Determined. I'll just go to the mailbox and back, she said. I watched from the porch. She made it halfway when Karen stepped out of her SUV. Excuse me, Karen called out. Ava stopped. Yes, ma'am? You're not allowed to use the roadway without proper mobility authorization, Karen said. Ava looked confused. I'm just walking. Karen's voice hardened. You're obstructing traffic. There were no cars. I walked down the steps. She's fine, I said. She's allowed to be here. Karen's smile vanished. Sir, I'm asking her to comply. With what? I asked. Existing. Karen reached into her purse. That's when my instincts changed. I saw the movement before my mind processed it. The metallic click. Ava's eyes widened. Dad, she whispered. The shot came next. I won't describe it. You don't need that. What matters is this. My daughter fell. And Karen screamed, not in horror, but in panic. I didn't mean, she started saying. I was already moving. Years of training don't leave you. They wait. And in that moment, every instinct I'd ever learned came rushing back, not as violence, but as control. I disarmed her in seconds. No strikes. No rage. Just precision. The gun hit the ground. Karen collapsed, sobbing. Neighbors ran outside. Someone called 911. I knelt beside Ava. She was conscious. Crying. Terrified. I'm here, I said. You're not alone. The sirens came fast. This time, no one blocked them. Officers arrived with weapons drawn, confusion written across their faces. She shot my daughter, I said calmly. They looked at Ava. Then at Karen. Then at me. One officer recognized me. Sir, he said quietly, are you? I nodded. I am. Everything changed after that. Karen's crying turned into pleading. I was scared, she said. I thought she was threatening me. A disabled child. On crutches. Walking to a mailbox. Threatening. The ambulance doors slammed shut. This time, no one stood in the way. I rode in the front seat while paramedics worked behind me, their voices controlled but urgent. Ava was conscious, gripping a paramedic's hand, asking the same question over and over. Am I going to walk again? No parent is ever prepared for that question. We're doing everything we can, the medic said gently. I stared straight ahead, jaw clenched, forcing myself to stay calm. Panic doesn't help. Control does. Years of training had taught me that, but nothing prepares you for watching your child suffer because someone confused authority with power. Doctors were waiting when we arrived. They moved Ava onto a gurney and rushed her through double doors. I was stopped at the entrance. Sir, you'll need to wait here. I nodded. That hallway felt longer than any deployment I'd ever done. Minutes passed. Then more. Finally, a surgeon approached. She's stable, he said. The injuries are serious, but she's alive. We'll know more after surgery. I exhaled slowly. Alive. That word mattered more than anything else. While Ava was in surgery, the neighborhood turned into a crime scene. Yellow tape. Police cars. Detectives. Karen sat on the curb wrapped in a blanket, rocking back and forth. Her confidence was gone. The clipboard that once defined her authority lay abandoned in the grass. Officers collected the weapon. Witnesses lined up. And everyone told the same story. She wasn't threatening anyone. She was just walking. Karen escalated it. Video footage surfaced within minutes. From door cameras. From phones. From across the street. Every angle showed the same truth. At the station, Karen's story began to change. She startled me. She moved suddenly. I felt unsafe. Detectives didn't raise their voices. They didn't need to. They simply played the video. A disabled child, struggling forward carefully. A grown woman pulling out a gun. No threat. No aggression. Just fear on one side only. Karen stopped talking. By nightfall, prosecutors had enough. Attempted aggravated assault. Use of a firearm in a residential area. Reckless endangerment. Abuse of authority. And because the victim was a disabled minor, every charge carried enhanced penalties. Karen asked for a lawyer. For the first time, no one argued with her. News vans rolled in before sunrise. Headlines spread fast. HOA president shoots disabled teen during rule dispute. Residents who had once stayed quiet finally spoke. Fines. Threats. Intimidation. Karen hadn't just enforced rules, she'd ruled through fear. And now, fear had turned against her. Ava woke up late that night. I was at her bedside. She looked at me with tired eyes. Did I do something bad? She asked softly. My heart broke all over again. No, I said firmly. You did nothing wrong. You were brave. She nodded, trusting me. That trust was a promise I intended to keep. Investigators dug deeper. They found emails Karen had sent to the HOA board. She's a liability. Medical equipment lowers property value. We need stricter enforcement. It wasn't fear. It was resentment. And now it was documented. In a holding cell, Karen finally understood something. This wasn't an HOA meeting. This wasn't a warning letter. This wasn't a fine she could issue. This was the real world. And the rules here were very different. The courtroom was full before the judge even entered. Reporters. Community members. Advocates for disabled rights. and parents who had lived under Karen's rule for years without ever speaking up. Karen sat at the defense table in a pale suit that looked too big for her. No clipboard. No confident posture. Her hands trembled. Across the room, I sat quietly present, but not performing. This wasn't about who I was. This was about what she did. The prosecutor stood and spoke calmly. This case is not about fear, she said. It's about power used recklessly, illegally, and without compassion. She described Ava's condition. She described the confrontation. She described the moment Karen chose escalation over restraint. The defense tried a softer tone. She felt threatened, the lawyer said. She panicked. The prosecutor responded with a single sentence. Fear does not justify pulling a gun on a disabled child. The videos played. From door cameras. From phones. From across the street. Every angle showed the same truth. Ava moving slowly. Karen approaching aggressively. The moment everything went wrong. No threats. No sudden movements. No danger. The jurors watched in silence. Doctors testified next. The injuries changed her mobility, one surgeon said. She will require long-term therapy. Another doctor added. The trauma, physical and emotional, will follow her into adulthood. Karen stared at the table. For the first time, she couldn't look away from consequences. I took the stand. Not as a Navy SEAL. Not as a symbol. As a father. She trusted this place, I said. We moved here because it was supposed to be safe. I paused. She trusted adults. She trusted rules. I looked toward the jury. She learned that day that rules don't always protect you. Karen finally looked up. Our eyes met. She looked away. The defense tried to argue misunderstanding. Then the emails were introduced. Messages Karen had written weeks earlier. She shouldn't be outside unsupervised. Her condition makes people uncomfortable. She's a liability. The courtroom shifted. This wasn't panic. It was intent. The jury deliberated for hours, but no one was surprised by the outcome. They returned, faces solemn. On all counts, the foreperson said, we find the defendant guilty. Karen's shoulders collapsed. Her lawyer whispered something she didn't hear. The judge removed his glasses and spoke slowly. You abused authority, he said. You escalated a situation that required care. He listed the sentence. Long-term prison sentence. Permanent firearm ban. Lifetime prohibition from HOA or community leadership. Mandatory restitution and civil damages. Court-ordered counseling and rehabilitation. Then he added. This court recognizes the harm done not just to one child, but to an entire community. The HOA dissolved within weeks. State oversight was imposed. Emergency response protocols were rewritten. Training became mandatory. Karen became a warning, a case study. Ava came home months later. She moved carefully. She worked hard in therapy. One evening, she asked me something quietly. Dad, am I safe now? I sat beside her. Yes, I said. You are. She smiled, small, but real. This wasn't about revenge. It was about a line. A line that should never be crossed. Authority without empathy becomes cruelty. Rules without humanity become danger. And no title HOA president or otherwise ever puts you above the law.